Hey guys, I have a really exciting video for you today, and it is all about microblading. In my journey here on YouTube, my biggest struggle by far has been my eyebrows. They have gone through good phases and many bad phases. Many bad phases. This has been an issue that I have struggled with since forever. You know, when I was in probably 8th grade is when I started to pluck my eyebrows, and it just has always been a struggle for me. Microblading my eyebrows has been something that I have considered doing for years. Haven't done it because I just never put in the work to research for the right person to do it, because I've seen many cases where microblading is done incredibly strong, basically just filling in the full eyebrow, and that wasn't really the look I wanted, so I wanted to make sure that I found somebody that was really good. And so for a long time it was always, oh, I want to get that done, oh, I want to get that done, but never really just putting my foot down and going, we're gonna do this. It wasn't until I was on Reddit a couple of months ago, and I was on one of the makeup beauty guru subreddits, and there was a post that was saying who has the best eyebrows on YouTube, who has the worst. And I saw this post, and before I opened it, I said to myself, I bet I'm on there for worst eyebrows. So I opened the post. Little was I expecting, I was the top most upvoted comment of having the worst brows. Now, this didn't upset me because, like I said, I expected it. Even though my eyebrows just sucked, I never really got the hang of filling them in correctly and really figuring out the right way to do it. So when I saw this comment and that it was the most upvoted comment on the entire post, it was kind of a kick in the ass for me to just get my eyebrows done. Because if this was something that I was winning the award for having the worst brows, I probably should do something about it. I decided to do some research and find somebody who was really good at what they did, that had really good reviews, that I could see their work, see the before and afters, and to get an idea of somebody that was going to be really good at microblading and to give me results that looked pretty natural. After an extensive amount of research, looking on Yelp, looking on Google, looking at photos, I found Miley, and she is based in Scottsdale here in Arizona. Her Yelp page had almost all 5-star reviews. She does lash extensions and microblading, which, by the way, I will have a video on lash extensions coming up because I did get those done so that I could talk about them for you guys. After just really looking at all of her photos and her style of microblading, I decided to bite the bullet and get it done. Now, the style of microblading that she does is fine hair strokes. So some of you may have seen microblading where the artist essentially fills in the full brow so they look incredibly dark and very almost jarring, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted something that if I was wearing no makeup, you would not think, oh my gosh, her brows look like really intense. I just wanted something that looked really natural, but fuller, a better shape, and to just bring them in a little bit. And Miley really did a great job. The first thing that happened was Miley asked me what I wanted as far as the shape goes. And I showed her a good brow picture of mine that I was happy with how my brows looked in the picture. And that was kind of what we based it off of. She measured my brows right here on the bridge of your nose, out on the sides, basically to learn for my face shape where the different points should be for the arch, for the tail, and for the start of my brows. Then she marked it off, made sure that they were even, let me approve the way that she had measured it out, how long they would be, where they would start, all of that stuff, and then she put a numbing solution onto my brows. Once she did that, she started the microblading process, which took about 90 minutes. I'm gonna say the numbing was maybe an extra 20 on top of that, so the whole appointment was probably around 2 hours. And the crazy part about this was that I felt nothing. I did not feel the microblading happening at all, which is so crazy to me. You hear it. That was the weird part, is you hear like a scraping feel, but I could not feel it. So right after I got my brows done, the color is a little bit strong. I've heard a lot of stories about people that right when they get microblading done, they're just like, their eyebrows look essentially black, and that was not the case here. Mine looked fuller and they looked darker, but it wasn't anything that was to the point of being like, whoa, like that's way too much. So after the whole process was done, the way to take care of them is really going to depend on who does your microblading, because everyone's going to have different, it's like if you get a tattoo, everybody's got different rules and different suggestions on what to do for aftercare. For me, it was I couldn't get my brows wet for 2 days, and I had to have grapeseed oil and apply it twice a day. After the 2 days, I could get them wet. She gave me this really mild solution of baby shampoo and water that I just dabbed on them, and over the course of about 4 weeks, they kind of peeled, and then they were good to go after about 4 weeks. So this first appointment was basically the foundation, just laying the foundation. At 6 weeks, I went in for my touch-up appointment. Now the touch-up appointment is so that the brows look more three-dimensional. After the first appointment, there was definitely color there, but it looked more like, how do I explain this? It looked more like there was microblading done and then my brows were on top of it. So there was kind of a disconnect as far as the microblading and then where my brows were. It's totally normal because the touch-up is going to add more dimension and to make them look fuller and make them look connected with the brows. So at the touch-up appointment, I actually asked her if I could bring in my camera and film some of the process so that you guys could see, which actually worked out really well because she was using a new product on me. So she wasn't doing straight microblading with the blade. She was using an actual machine, which allows her to be much more detailed and to have even finer hair strokes so that she can have more detail and add even more hair strokes so the brows look a lot fuller and it looks more natural. So I'm going to show you guys some footage from that. Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking you into my microblading girl. Her name is Miley. She's super cool. I'm getting my microblading touched up. So I already had the initial microblading treatment happen, and today it's about probably 6.5 weeks after I got that treatment done. There's some areas on the arches of my brows that the pigment didn't set as much, and then I just want to get a little bit more on the inside, and I believe she's going to do a little bit darker of a color so that it's more three-dimensional, so to speak. So I'm really excited to get this done.
And this, like this line right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just, yeah, it starts right there.
Okay.
Okay with
yeah. That's totally fine. Yeah, this one goes a lot farther back than this one does, but having those extra microbladed brows coming in a little bit farther has been really nice.
Good. Yeah. So right now it looks like it's on the same straight line. I mean, with your facial structure, you do have pretty symmetrical bone structure on both sides, but for a lot of people, it's not always the case. So I feel like that's one of the things that, you know, clients when getting microblading is to be aware of, is that our face is not symmetrical on
so
each
sometimes
side. Yeah,
sisters,
so
not twins.
it could be, yes, it's sisters, not twins. So it could be like one side of the bone is a little more protruding than the other side. Therefore, due to light hitting, that could appear as if one side is higher, but in reality, it's not.
It's not.
And also the muscle. The muscle on each side. One side could be more plumped than the other. And then some clients might be using a lot of forehead muscle. You don't use a whole lot of forehead muscle, but some clients might be using one side more than the other. So one side could have appeared to be a little higher, but if they were to have their face relaxed or eyes closed, then it looks all
even.
Yeah.
Got it. What would you recommend to look for when people are doing research into a place to get their brows done?
Number one, really look for reviews. Second thing, look for their Instagram, social media pages. See how often the technician posts. If they post like maybe 1 or 2 a month or every 3 months, then obviously you gotta question, okay, is it something that he or she is doing, you know, every day on a regular day basis? Okay, look for credentials like certifications. Is he or she going to conferences, trainings, like, you know, keep herself or himself updated to the current technique and whatnot, not like going through a training 10 years ago. It's important for you to understand your own shape, okay, and not having the technician go too much outside of it. For example, if someone has naturally straight brows, right, and they want super high arch, obviously the technician would have to like take out some of the hair And because I mean it's semi-permanent to permanent, it depends on how the technique is. Down the road, you don't want a pair of eyebrows that you're going to have to shave off your real hair every 3 days or so, because hair grows back fast. At the time of the technician doing this brow, he or she could have thought, okay, well, I'm just gonna lift the tail up a little bit more to give this lady a nice lifted. I mean, which is a great idea, but then if they really pay attention to the real hair, they naturally have a low tail, okay? If they want to lift, it should just be lifting just a little bit, not a drastic change like this. So this is a manual blade. It's not vibrating. It has 16 tiny needles lining up as a line, and the technique is we slice it in on the top of the skin. Whereas this is just one single needle. It vibrates. So how it is that it keeps pushing the pigment in.
Oh my gosh, that's such a big difference with how thin that is. Oh, that's crazy. It's so much thinner. Oh, that's awesome. It's so like hard for me to get used to it coming out like almost like my full finger length. Yep. So much thinner. That's really cool. Yeah. So right now I am about 3 weeks out from that touch-up appointment. My brows are almost completely healed. They still have a little bit of peeling going on, but they aren't scabby, they aren't itchy. Everything is pretty much good to go, and you can definitely see a difference. I'm so happy with the way that this turned out. The important thing to understand too, I think, is that this is not meant to be like, oh, I never have to do anything to my brows. I still add brow powder or a brow pencil if I'm putting on makeup just to fill everything in. Something that I've gotten really bad at because, I mean, my normal brows, this one starts here and then this one starts way over here. So when I'm applying my foundation, I always go over the front ends here because I'm just not used to having that little space. So I definitely find that I need to bump them up a little bit once I've applied my makeup just so that they're a little bit stronger. The same way that you would if you had nice, naturally full brows, you still generally would apply powder and make them look a little bit stronger and fuller when you're applying makeup. But it's been nice because I'm totally happy with how they look without having to have any makeup on. I feel like it just frames my face nicely. I'm really happy with how they look and how they turned out. And I think it's nice because it's almost like it's giving me that template for how my brows are supposed to look. So it's a lot easier for me to fill them in because, for example, this brow is a lot more, the shape of it naturally is a lot better. But on this one, she had to put a lot of the microblading up here where the brow doesn't grow. So the hairs don't grow up there. That's something that I wasn't doing when I was filling them in on my own. So seeing how she did it kind of was like, oh my gosh, now I know what to do. My Lee is definitely on the expensive side, but the way that I look at this is not something I would skimp out on at all because it's your face. I mean, your eyebrows are kind of important. It's something that they frame your face, and like I mentioned a couple times in this video, I've definitely seen some microblading that is not very good. It's very questionable. So I would recommend my Lee a million times over, and I'll have her information in the description bar. For her, I believe the cost was around $500. There was a $100 upfront payment, and then you paid $300, I think, $350 at the first appointment, and then $100 at the touch-up. So it's spread out, but honestly, 100% worth it. The other thing that's really great about this is you only need to get one touch-up a year after this. It's not like it'll completely fade away and go away and then you have to restart the whole process. It's just touching up once a year, which is really cool in my book. Overall, I'm really happy with the results that I have. I'd like to thank the Reddit subreddit that named me worst brows for getting me to do this because I know it needed to be done. If you're looking to get this done, do your research. Make sure you find somebody who does the style that you like, that has a lot of before and after shots. And something else that's really important is to look for people that have healed results too. A lot of the times on Instagram you see directly after, and that's not really a perfect example of what the brows will actually look like once they're healed. It's sort of like if you've ever gotten a tattoo. It looks so bright and vibrant right when you get it done, but once it's healed, it definitely dulls down a little bit. So it's important the same exact way with the microblading to make sure that you see someone who's going to show healed results as well. When you're getting ready to go to your appointment, it's also important to have an idea of what you want your brows to look like. So go on Pinterest, go on Google Images, find some examples of a brow shape that you like, and understand that while you might think, you know, super thick brows look really great, it might not be perfect for you specifically. I think it's important to have an idea of what you want, but be willing to listen to somebody who works on brows for a living. Make sure you understand that things are going to need to change for your specific facial features. You might not be able to get exactly what you see online, but having an idea of what you want is really important. The third thing is to have a price range and make sure that you are not going somewhere just because it is inexpensive. Going somewhere that's maybe Groupon or somewhere that has deals because it's something that's on your face front and center. I think it's worth investing in, paying the extra money for, and getting someone that actually knows what they're doing, that is going to classes, that's learning more about their craft, that didn't go to a class 5 years ago and still says that they know everything. You want to find somebody that is talking about the classes they're going to, showing certifications, showing that they are continuing to learn and aren't just staying in the past, because that way you're going to get somebody who knows the current trends, who knows the current products, the current styles, and is going to give you the best possible look that you can get. I really hope that this was helpful for you guys. I'm going to have my lash extension video going up soon as well. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment, and I'll see you next time.